guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sonal and this video was requested by one of my fellow subscriber with respect to emphasizing more on the different types of questions which can be asked to a fresher who is planning to attempt an interview in the teaching field with respect to the subject chemistry. So without wasting any time further, let's get started. So this video will be divided into two sections. The very first section I will talk in general with respect to the different inorganic chemistry questions that you all can expect, okay? And in the second section I will talk about my personal experience with respect to the questions that I have faced till date with respect to all my interviews. Also a quick reminder to all the people watching this particular video, if you guys are new here then please subscribe to my channel, and if you guys are returning subscribers then give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends and family. So starting with the very first section with respect to the different types of questions which you all can expect, I do have a list over here about which I'm going to talk, okay? But before we actually jump right into the different types of topics which you all can prepare, there are a few things that you need to keep in mind, okay? Now after your personal questions like whatever, like why do you want to become a professor or introduce yourself and all those questions, when you come to the technical part of your interview, okay, on what basis are you going to expect questions? So I can actually put it down into three categories. This is with respect to my personal experience, okay? The very first category is they ask you randomly. In general they pick, like it depends on the panel members itself, randomly they pick up any topic like inorganic, so random any inorganic topic, and they start asking questions, okay? So that is the very first way in which it can happen, fine. In the second category, once you have delivered your demo session, okay, once you are done with your demo session, I've also made a specific video on how to deliver a demo lecture. I will put the link below. If you guys are interested then go watch that as well, okay? So the second category is with respect to the type of demo that you're presenting. So whatever topic you're choosing for your demo lecture, on that you guys can be questioned, okay? And the third category is a very nice but a very dangerous category, and that is when the panel members, they themselves ask you to pick a particular topic, like which is your strongest asset, okay? So this happened with me for my BARC interview, for my BARC interview. Again, there is a video on that as well, so if you guys want to watch, I'll put the link below. There they had asked me 4 topics in which like I would prefer, like my preferences, okay? So they can ask you like 1 topic, 2 topics, 3 topics, I think maximum 4, not more than that, okay? The next point that you have to keep in mind, and this is absolutely compulsory, okay, you cannot skip it, fine. You need to prepare the topics not as per your MSc syllabus or as per whatever you all have studied, but your preparations for this particular part of the interview has to be based on the syllabus of the particular course or the particular class that you all are going to teach, okay? So it is very crucial, like different boards across India, the different colleges, different universities, they have a different set of syllabus, right? So suppose you're going for a post which is advertised at the BSc level, that is the bachelor's level, it is compulsory for you to download the PDF of syllabus for that particular college, okay? So the first year chemistry syllabus, second year chemistry syllabus, and your third year chemistry syllabus. Look out for the inorganic chemistry topics, and you need to know a little bit of everything that is present over there, fine. Usually they don't advertise like they require an assistant professor or a lecturer for like first year or second year. I haven't seen a lot of that. They just generally advertise the post, so you need to know the syllabus for all of the 3 years, and you need to, like, you need to by heart the different topics which are actually present, because sometimes they also tend to ask like, have you gone through the syllabus of our college or have you gone through the syllabus of our university, and you need to be prepared for that particular question, okay? So obviously they are going to like analyze your knowledge on the subjects which you are expected to teach, okay? So whatever inorganic chemistry topics are there in the syllabus of that particular college or university, you need to know it, okay? And the last point that you need to keep in mind is basically, as a human being, we cannot really be good at everything, as in we cannot have an idea of each and everything that is present in a book, right? So sometimes it do happens that there is a question and you really don't know the answer. So in at least for my personal like in my personal experience, if there is a question whose answer I don't know, I do not prefer making up, okay, and giving out knowledge that you are not aware about, because I don't really like doing it. So sometimes if you don't know the answer of a particular question, it's always better to say that you can just say this phrase, I'm afraid I don't have much of information on that particular topic, but I think I'll make sure that I'll read about it more. Okay, so you can always tell the panel, see the panel members also, they also know that a candidate cannot be aware of all the topics, right? We might have some bare minimum knowledge, but in depth, something or the other is missed out, okay? And I don't think as a candidate even we are expected to know everything, okay? So if you guys really don't know a particular answer, rather than stressing yourself out and giving the wrong answer, it's always better to say that I would like to apologize, but I don't know the right answer to this question. And just say it with a smile. I think the panel members are also going to accept it. And this is what happened with me for one of my interviews. I wasn't knowing a particular question's answer. I told them the same thing, and it went fine, okay? And another thing that you need to watch out for is that in most of the interviews you will see that there's a pattern with respect to the type of questions you are being asked, okay? So it's usually from your answer they make up the second question. Like if they ask you the first question, you give them a particular answer. On the basis of that answer, they are going to make up the second question, and it usually continues like that. If you tell them something that you aren't sure about, but you just know the term, definitely you can expect the next question to be define this particular term, and then you are like, okay, why did I say it? Okay, so that too can happen. Fine. Now jumping into the type of questions that you all can expect for a lecturer's post in inorganic chemistry, I have just written a few important topics, okay, and these are most of the times a part of the syllabus as well, so you can know your basic BSc knowledge, okay, on these particular topics. Okay, the very first one that you cannot miss whenever you're talking about inorganic chemistry, you guys must have guessed already, it is coordination chemistry. Okay, coordination chemistry is like, it's very very important. Actually all these five topics I have made basics, they are important, and you need to know the introduction and what exactly the topic is made up of and the different applications of it. Okay, so you have coordination chemistry, solid state chemistry, periodic table becomes very vast, so in general you can know like the different trends across the periodic table and the properties, certain anomalous behavior. Okay, bioinorganic chemistry, fine, and finally you have organometallic chemistry. So these are the most type of questions are usually based on these topics. Okay, so you can refer to JMC Hui to know like, or Shriver and Atkins. These two books I always mention that inorganic chemistry is given in really simple words and you can easily understand, and always have like these five topics. I think they're a part of the syllabus at the MSc level as well. Okay, so go through your notes and you can just pick a few things like the introduction, okay, what exactly the topic is made up of and what are the applications. Okay, and another thing is always read about the recent advances in your field. Okay, I will come to it. So this was the first section. I'm ending it here itself. I have given you the basic idea, the way the questions are usually asked and the topics that you can watch out for. Now let's move ahead to the second section of the video. We will start with the second section of the video, wherein I will share with you guys my personal experience with respect to all the interviews that I have answered till date. I have a list already ready. I don't know why I was supposed to say missed. That doesn't even make sense. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I have the list already with me. Okay, so I have written them over here in short. Now I won't be really discussing the answers, okay, but just the questions. You can find the answers in any basic book. Actually most of the questions are really basic. Okay, so starting with the periodic table, I was once asked, in order to state all the starting element, the first element of the p block series, okay, followed by that they asked me to like shed some light, on the anomalous behavior of all of these elements, like why, uh, what are the properties which actually make them different from the rest of the elements uh, of that particular block. Okay. And this one question is quite important, and I've seen it quite many times. That is, what is like, how would you differentiate between the first and the second ionization enthalpy? Okay. And initially, I think till my bachelor's level, I wasn't aware of this answer, but I did know the answer at my like my master's level. If you guys know the answer for this particular question, put it down in the comment section below. We can have like a nice conversation. Okay. So I will repeat again, what is the basic difference between first and second ionization enthalpy? And this question can actually extend, first IE, second, third, fourth. It can actually go on, and there is a major difference. Put it down below in the comment section. Okay. So these were some basic questions that were asked to me with respect to periodic table. Moving ahead to coordination chemistry, and this I have faced almost in my 3 interviews, similar type of questions. Okay. The very first is, what is valence bond theory? Okay, sometimes they can also start with VSEPR. Okay, that's your Vesper theory, but most of the times for me it was, what is valence bond theory, and like, what were the drawbacks? Okay, so what drawbacks did VBT have? Then as per the questions, like suppose if you tell them what were the drawbacks, and then they'll ask you, obviously, in order to like get rid of these drawbacks, what was the next theory? Okay, so that is obviously a CFT. Fine. After that is done, they asked me to differentiate between VBT and CFT, like 2 points of differences for each. You can have more than that. Okay. And most of the times they usually conclude this section with why MOT was required. That is why the molecular orbital theory was required. Okay. What are the advantages of MOT? Okay. So these type of questions from coordination chemistry you can expect. Fine. Other than that, like your in-depth concepts, for example, Jahn-Teller distortion. Okay, Jahn-Teller distortion in coordination chemistry. Then how does the splitting happen? Like stabilized orbitals, destabilized orbitals. What are Gerard orbitals? What are un-Gerard? So in general, these type of questions can also be asked. Okay. Then, as I mentioned, my MSc project was in supramolecular chemistry, and this was for my MSc level interview itself that they asked me, what is supramolecular chemistry? And you guys must have heard, like, if you all know like basics about supramolecular chemistry, it is defined as chemistry beyond a molecule. Okay, so then I said that, and then they asked me, why is it called as chemistry beyond the molecule, and the different types of bonding and examples, and they ended it with applications, like why do you feel supramolecular chemistry is important. Okay. And then I was also questioned on the different types of like in my project I had different reactions. Okay. So like, why does this happen, or why does that happen? These type of questions they also asked me. Mine was based on iron metal. Okay. And iron, we know the versatility in terms of oxidation state, so that also they asked me, like +2 +3 oxidation state. Okay. And why do you think that this work is important, and all of those things. Okay. And the last part to talk about for today's video is for one of my interviews, that is for my MSc interview only, I had given a demo lecture on organometallic chemistry. So for that they questioned me. Initially they started with supramolecular chemistry, then they told me to give the demo, and after that they asked me questions on organometallic chemistry. So there they asked me examples of different organometallic compounds with a specific metal, like they asked me rhodium, lithium, they asked me magnesium or copper, and the application, like you have the Wilkinson's catalyst, why is it used, then you have the Grignard reagent, why is that used, these type of questions. And then for one of my interview, I remember that they asked me question on the most recent Nobel Prize winner in chemistry. So this was in 2019, and the Nobel Prize was for the lithium ion batteries, rechargeable lithium ion batteries. So they questioned me on that also, and I hadn't read any article. Like I knew who actually received the Nobel Prize that year, but I wasn't a lot into it. So I spoke a few things about lithium. Like they asked me, like, what is the difference? Why do they, like what is like the outstanding results of this particular topic and everything. So I wasn't really sure of all the parts. So instead of saying something stupid, I just told them I haven't read about it. So yeah, this is another thing. Keep in mind, like get to know that particular year or previous 2 years Nobel Prize winners in chemistry. Just randomly read about their work. You guys might be surprised if there's a question like this. Okay, so that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you all want me to make specific videos on organic and physical, analytical, pharmaceutical, then do let me know by commenting down below. If you guys did like this video, give this video a thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel. My channel is finally growing slowly, but it is growing. And all the best if you guys are having an interview soon, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.